Brock Purdy, best story in the league. But I want to talk about the next Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Teams are looking for the next Brock Purdy. And I think one team may have found, I'm not saying an MVP player, but I think one team may have found the next Brock Purdy, their Brock Purdy. He's
Who's
older
that?
than Brock, but he's winning.
Who
He's
we talking about?
thrust into duty because of injury to a very highly paid player. Everyone felt this team was just done. Who is this guy? And now he's on the field winning, putting up really, really good numbers. This past week, his quarterback rating was 122 in a win. Put up 34 points. Last week, his quarterback rating was 115 in a win where they put up 34 points. What a start to this young man's career. The next Brock Purdy. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't. I'm trying to think of who you're talking about right now.
Jake Browning.
Oh, Jake Browning.
Jake Browning.
Shout out to Jake
He's
Browning.
filling in for Joe Burrow over in Cincinnati, and everyone wrote that team off, but
Mm-hmm.
they're a very talented team. And Jake Browning just happens to be a very experienced college quarterback. Started as a true freshman at Washington, played 4 years, played a lot in high school, was
I gotta see
extremely
him.
successful.
He's from
You
out
know
here.
him.
I
Yeah.
gotta see him in high school multiple times. He plays
Yeah.
against the school where my kids go. So I gotta see
There
him
you go.
play.
Folsom.
Yeah.
Not that big, doesn't have the strongest arm, but all of a sudden, once again, he's put into a good system with good players around him. And gosh, his combination of traits and talents is getting the job done at a very efficient level. And I think it's funny, if you look at his resume, what he brings to the table is very similar to Brock Purdy. 4-year starter. What are their traits? Accurate, mobile enough, process quickly, experienced.
Yeah.
And it seems like, maybe you don't need to have a Brett Favre skill set to be an MVP candidate quarterback or to put up great numbers or to win. Maybe just being accurate, mobile, smart, a quick processor, not even smart, Alex Smith was smart and not a quick processor, a quick processor. And what was the last thing I said?
Smart, quick processor, accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the mind, man.
Yeah.
It's the mind. It's the mind. Some people are made. Sports is 90%
experienced.
mental.
Experienced.
There you go.
Experienced.
That's what prepares.
Yeah.
Right? The experience is what gets your mind right. Sports has always been mental, mostly. Sports is mostly mental in a lot of ways. Maybe not as much football unless you're playing quarter or something else. But it is a complex game that people underrate. But it's mentality is everything, and it's hard to judge. But Brock has it, man. He can see the field. He can read defenses. He processes. And I see what you're saying on Brown. I got to see way more from him.
Well, of course.
Yes.
I'm not saying he's the next Brock. I am saying he's the next Brock Purdy. But what I'm saying is, look, I feel like what we talk about an elite quarterback, it's like you're almost looking for a savior, a super quarterback, a quarterback with a cape. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. And when you get Justin Herbert, when you get a quarterback like that, Joe Burrow, give him all the money in the world, top dollar. And look what happens to the team. Look what happens to Philly with Jalen Hurts. Like eventually the depth is gone. Or now you got a real weakness at linebacker and safety and this. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, it's cool though. We have a hero at quarterback. He's going to save us. I don't know, man. It's not working for the Chiefs right now. And it seems instead of, you could have saviors at quarterback before the salary cap. But now, if you have that quarterback, eventually he's just going to drain all your assets. He's going to take up all your salary cap. Even if you have Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be really vulnerable to a team like the Niners, who is spending nothing on their quarterback, and he's good.
Yeah.
And it seems like these guys are available. They're not. They don't go in round one. You can find experienced, accurate, mobile, quick processors after the draft. Because the NFL, I mean, maybe not anymore. Maybe the NFL's caught on. But it seems like this is a combination of traits that works if you just put the right team around him. And it's easier to find wide receivers and running backs and tight ends than a hero quarterback. You could search for that guy for 50 years. Have the Lions ever had that guy? I mean, have the Jaguar? I mean, I don't know.
Here's my thoughts. Like, I understand why the NFL and people are trying to find the next Brock Purdy. I just don't think it happens as often as people would think or like or want. Like, yeah, you can be experienced, and that's great. You could be, a good processor, and that's great. But if you don't have it, right? Like there's only one Brady drafted in the 6th
For
round that was
sure.
able to do what he was able to do. And I don't know if there's another Brock Purdy out there either, right? I think that's rare. I think the NFL wants that to be a thing where we can just go find another Brock Purdy, but I'm not convinced you can. And yeah, Jake Brown looks good so far, but I want to see more of that before I even put him on Brock's scale. Give
I'm
me
just
10
saying, how many
games
Brock Purdy's never got an opportunity because they were undrafted, because they were the last pick in the draft or the 7th round pick, and they weren't that big and they didn't throw that hard, and people were looking for all the wrong traits
and the
when
starter didn't get
really,
injured
like
because
the
of this.
S2 cognition
Yeah.
test and how many throws you had in college and high school and your completion percentage, like that stuff is way more important than what you could project to become in a few years with good coaching. Like that's going to happen in the NFL.
The reality is if Trey Lance or Brock or Jimmy G didn't get hurt, Brock Purdy's probably still QB2, QB3.
Right.
Right? He
He
was
never would
only
have got that
afforded.
opportunity.
Yeah, we would never
Yeah.
know. If Trey stayed healthy this whole time, they'd probably be still working on developing Trey, and we'll see. I don't know, what team would look like right now with Trey Lance, but or Jimmy. But that's the other thing is you're right. They automatically classify those guys that are drafted late or undrafted and make them QB3s off top. And the only reason Brock got an opportunity is because of injury. So how many of those guys could have been good?
Yeah.
Because Brock Purdy could easily not have played a single snap yet.
I mean, it's not like the Niners knew. They took him with the last pick. They took Tariq Castro Fields before him. They were willing to lose out on him. Jake
Yeah.
Browning was on the Vikings practice squad for 3 years. They let him go. Now their starter's Josh Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these teams just don't know what to look for at quarterback. That's what's so interesting about the NFL. It's the most important position, and teams don't know how to scout it, develop it. But all of a sudden, they're like, I feel like the light bulb went on after like 100 years.
Yeah.
Oh, reps matter. Accuracy
Yeah.
is the most important thing. It's functional mobility and processing. And then I think the Wonderlic was a totally useless test, but they're getting so much better at figuring out. You don't have to be smart to process. That's a whole different thing.
You gotta see the
Smart and
field.
quick processing are totally
Yeah.
different things. Joe Montana was a super quick processor. Was he smart? I don't know. I don't know Joe like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he didn't
Yeah.
have to be. It's just
Right.
it's a reaction. It's not like a thought process. It's like, is he open? Let me think about it.
Yeah.
Not quite. Not to my taste.
It's the it factor, man. That's what I keep coming back to. There's something about some guys that just have a feel for the game. Some guys don't. Some guys can see it. Some guys can't. And it's really hard to quantify that pre-draft without just seeing them on the field. It's also different from college to NFL. It's two different playing styles. It's two different caliber of opponent. It's just very hard to tell until you give them a shot. Like I said, Brock Purdy it's possible. There's an alternate scenario, an alternate universe out there where Brock Purdy never even gets a snap on the 49ers. Luckily for him and this franchise, he got that opportunity and he's proven that he has what it takes. So it's great scenario for the 49ers, especially
there's just some of
how
these
much
teams that have really stacked rosters like the Niners. You go there and it's like, do you know what to do with this supporting cast?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like guys like Trey Lance who come into the league with 400 throws or whatever. It's like, well, not really. I mean, I haven't been in this situation before. I need to be developed before I can be, before I can function. And you can see, like, you can actually get quarterbacks on day 3 or after the draft who can perform quite well with a good supporting cast. Now, I don't know what Jake Browning or Brock Purdy would do on the Patriots. I don't know. That team sucks. And maybe no quarterback could uplift that team. But frankly, maybe teams should stop thinking about savior quarterbacks and putting together good teams and getting good quarterbacks you can uplift. That's way easier than finding this freaking savior. Like Jacksonville has a savior quarterback, but still it's like your team isn't that good. Your wide receivers aren't that good. You're asking him to be a superhero, and it's like you're not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You, Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I've given my fair share of criticism to Kyle and John about the way they've approached it, but they win the Super Bowl this year, which they very well could. Kind of shuts me up, right, about their approach, starting with the defense and building from there, because now they have all the pieces in place. This team is so deep, it's ridiculous. Like, think about this. Logan Ryan, Super Bowl winning DB 2 times. Jason Verrett.
Yeah.
They're on this team and they haven't even touched the field yet. Those are really freaking high caliber players. Yeah, they're old and Verrett's had a ton of injury, but those are really good players. Haven't even touched the field yet. They might go out and sign Ertz. This team is so damn deep. The defensive line yesterday, missing Armstead. Hargrave got injured. Kinlaw stepped up, balled out. Randy Gregory balled out. Clellan Farrell balled out. Kalia Davis, just deep. And this team has all the pieces in place. This is the year, and they could compete next year.
If you want to build a team like the Niners and put all the pieces in place and then get your quarterback, the quarterback you could get in the free agent market would be too expensive. You have to get a guy on a rookie deal. But then that guy can't be inexperienced. He has to be ready to go. And what's crazy about that is like you can find what I'm describing on day 3 or after the draft, and he could be good right away. Like that's a game changer. And the Niners didn't didn't figure it out. I guess they discovered it. And now if this is repeatable and other teams can do this changes everything. All of a sudden it's like, well, why would I take a quarterback in round 1? What? The Patriots thought they were smart taking Mac Jones in round 1. The Niners considered taking him with the 3rd pick. Like, no.
Yeah.
You can find quarterbacks. You can find quarterbacks who are good. Don't do that. Get a running back. Get a wide receiver. Get an offensive
line. The Niners,
line.
the Bears, the Patriots, that was a mistake for all of them. They could have all just drafted, like they could have Michael Parsons.
Pick it in round 1? No, don't ever do that. Don't make that mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, you can find
you're getting someone truly special like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, fine. Otherwise, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, think about how big of a mistake that was. I mean, Trey Lance barely played football. Like, I still think Trey Lance has a ton of potential. He's very smart, but that lack of experience was very crucial as far as like slowing down his development and not being ready to step up in day one. It was a big mistake by the 49ers part, like thinking that a guy that's barely played football can just all of a sudden take the reins. And it was a Super Bowl winning roster, and they were looking for a guy that could step in right away, and they picked the guy who's barely played football.
The James Wiseman mistake. You can't just draft a really talented center quarterback, say he has all the traits, we'll figure it out over time. Like, no, he may never figure it out. It's going to take a lot of time, and while you're waiting for him, this team is ready to go. And it's like it never made sense. The Niners didn't figure it out, but I feel like teams wouldn't make that mistake anymore. The Niners made that like the ultimate Trey Lance mistake. The rest of the league learned from it, but they also saved themselves with the Brock Purdy discovery. And now the Bengals may have found not the next Brock Purdy, but their version of it. The guy who was just hanging around, who can actually keep the offense going, maybe even better. All of a sudden, that's going to change the whole league. I feel like it was like that 30 years ago with running backs. Back in the day.
You muted yourself.
Back in the day, it was like you had to have a great running back, and you had to get one. And then, like, I feel like in the mid-90s, the Shanahans kind of pointed out, like, hey, you can sort of manufacture this production. You can get good running backs on day 3. If that's true about quarterbacks too, that's going to make the league so much better because quarterback play is freaking atrocious.
Well, think about the last.
There need to be more Brock Purdys in the league. It would make the league so much more watchable.
Outside of Stroud, who didn't look that great last week for some reason, how many first-round quarterbacks have really done their thing? Trevor Lawrence, maybe. He's not even really that great. Stroud, I mean, besides that, I mean, you're talking about dozens of
Allen. Look at Sam Darnold
a while ago. Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Look at Sam Darnold.
So you make a good case for it, man. And think about what the Niners could have got had they not drafted Trey Lance. Got Micah Parsons. They could have drafted a right tackle. They could have drafted a right guard, a center.
Yeah.
Think about that too, though. Not to switch the point, but can you imagine if the 49ers build this O-line? And how good, because look how good Brock's doing. This O-line is not very good, man. Outside of Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, not very good.
I'm saying they need to like just go all in with offense because they have an MVP quarterback, all these all pros around them. Just commit to the offense, have the greatest offense in franchise history, and put yourself right there with Bill Walsh. Stop trying to work around your offense.
Build that line.
Anyway,
yeah,
I'm excited about Jake Browning. I feel like he's getting an opportunity because Brock Purdy exists, and more quarterbacks like that need to get opportunities that were overlooked. This Brock Purdy's legacy, man.
It's kind of cool to see that local kid get his opportunity. What are they going to do though? If Browning turns out to be a baller, what are the Bengals going to do? But Browning's a baller.
Good
Burrow's,
problem to have.
yeah.
I mean, now you got 2 quarterbacks. I just
They're
think it's
gonna deal
funny.
with
Like, I
him.
mean, they obviously stick with Burrow, but it's just so funny. It's like, oh, Jake Browning, what's he gonna do? Oh, he's gonna play well, right? Because he's played a ton of football. Like, he's not
Would
an
they stick with
explosive.
Burrow though? If they can get Browning on a rookie contract, would they stick with? Well, he's not. Is he not a rookie
If
contract no
Browning
more?
wins
Huh?
the Super Bowl, it'll be kind of like, dude, what if it's Browning and Purdy in the Super Bowl? What if? I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I thought Browning was so good against the Jaguars 2 weeks ago. I watched that game. I didn't get to see him yesterday because I was at the Niners, but
Mm-hmm.
dude is pretty efficient.
He's gonna have to evolve as defenses evolve. I think we've seen that with Brock Purdy. We'll see if Browning can do it over time.
Dude, he's completing 75.5% of his passes.
It's
Who the
pretty
hell does he
decent.
think he is? Brock Purdy? I don't understand.